Today on Upfront, the race for the White House. How it will all turn out is anyone's guess. Next, could the Republican race go all the way to the convention? It's my question for GOP Chairman Reince Priebus. Then, why is Hillary Clinton's campaign struggling to win over women voters? I'll ask her supporter, Democratic U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin. And the high cost of higher ed. State Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald on whether there's enough money to pay for Republican college affordability plans.
Covering the issues important to Wisconsin. This is Up Front with Mike Goucher.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Up Front. We begin today with the red-hot race for president, which increasingly looks like it might be a drawn-out process for both Republicans and Democrats. In a few minutes, I'll be asking Wisconsin's Democratic U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin about the state of Hillary Clinton's campaign, following her loss to Bernie Sanders in New Hampshire and Thursday's debate in Milwaukee. But first, the state of the Republican race and the prospect that Wisconsin's once distant April 5th primary might still actually matter. We're looking ahead now with Republican National Committee Chair, Wisconsin's own Reince Priebus. Chairman Priebus, good to have you back on the program. And let's talk about whether Wisconsin's primary might still matter come April 5th. What do you think?
Likely it will matter. I think it will, but it's yet to be seen. I tell people, just remember, 4 years ago, Mitt Romney didn't have things wrapped up until after Wisconsin. You remember he duked it out with Rick Santorum, and then the question in that race was whether or not they were going to go to Pennsylvania and Texas. Ultimately, Rick Santorum decided not to, and that race, keep in mind, started 30 days sooner than where we're at today. So you have every reason to believe that mid-April is still a pretty good target place, so that would put Wisconsin into play.
So one of the candidates in the race, Marco Rubio, said the other day that he believes this race could go into late May, it could even go into June, it could go into the convention, and that a broker convention might not be such a bad thing. Would it be a bad thing?
Well, it depends on the day. No, I think it's highly unlikely that we would be in a situation where we'd have a contested or open convention. It's yet to be seen, but look, the way the delegates are awarded, even in proportional states, there's thresholds that candidates need to meet. Knowing the rules, without boring everyone to tears on this, it is highly unlikely that we'll have a contested convention. It is, I guess, slightly possible, but again, I don't see it at this point.
Slightly possible, but here's the question, and I know that concerns you as chairman of this party. The longer this thing goes on, the stakes get higher, the field dwindles a little bit, but still there are enough people out there to create a little mischief. Are you worried about the tone of the campaign at this point?
Not particularly, because I think that these things last forever, seemingly, in everyone's mind. In other words, a week feels like a month, and a month feels like a year. We'll get to a nominee, and then it's going to be up to us and the nominee to make the case to the American people that the freedom and opportunity and equality that the Republican Party provides is better for this country. And it will feel like a very long time. Even if it's April or May, or even if it's June, it'll feel like a long time to November, and it will be up to that nominee and that person's vision to determine whether or not the American people are going to choose that person. It was Mitt Romney's vision that the American people voted on. It wasn't what happened in debates with Newt Gingrich and Rick Santorum and Herman Cain and Michelle Bachmann. No one talked about that in the summer of 2012. So I think we're kind of overanalyzing this stuff. This is not meant to be cornhole. It is tough and is rough, and we'll get a nominee, and it's up to us to beat a person that's under FBI investigation or a socialist from Vermont. I like our chances.
Which one do you think you'll be running against? Do you think that Hillary Clinton will be your opponent come November?
Yeah, I guess if I had to guess, I would say that that's the case. But, you know, when you're losing to women and you're a woman that stakes her campaign on being a woman, you're losing voters under the age of 30, 7 out of 10. The fundamentals for her are very bad. People don't like her. They don't trust her. I wouldn't want to be trying to figure out how to prop her up after what happened to her in New Hampshire.
So here's your Donald Trump question for the day. You and I have talked about his candidacy back in late summer when it was still more in its initial stages. And here we are talking months later. He's still very much a viable candidate in this race. Many people would say he's the undisputed front runner. Are you comfortable if Donald Trump is the party's nominee? Would you be comfortable with that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm comfortable with any of our candidates that are still on the stage coming on Saturday to be the nominee. That's my job. And I think if you look at the job that we've put together here at the RNC, it's been phenomenal. We're twice as big as the DNC. We've got thousands of people out in the field. It's the biggest data improvement project, I think, in the history of any national party. I like where we're at, and that nominee is going to be able to plug into something far better than it was in 2012. And so whoever the nominee is, we have a varsity squad up there on the stage. Whoever that nominee is, we're going to be better off than either Hillary or Bernie Sanders, and I feel good about our chances.
I've got only about 45 seconds left, but after the 2012 election, your party did a postmortem, and you said, you know what, we need to have a bigger tent. We need to expand. We need to get more minority voters into the Republican Party. Do you think you've had any success doing that, or is that something that simply is on hold given the nature of politics in this election cycle?
Well, it's no secret. If you're going to do better than 2012, you need to have more people in the room. More people need to check that box that says Republican than they did 4 years ago. And the only way you can do that is by growing the party, not telling people to leave that room. I think we've done that, Mike. We've made historical gains on the ground in Black and Hispanic and Asian communities. The evidence was in 2014, we got 46% of the Hispanic vote in Colorado. Mitt Romney got about half of that. We got 28% of the Black vote in Ohio. Mitt Romney got a fraction of that. We're growing this party, and look, long term we want to grow a lot, but in the short term, if we grow a little bit, we'll win, and that's really what we have to do. We have to have incremental gains, and that's what we've done here at the Republican National Committee.
Republican National Committee Chair Reince Priebus on the satellite with us from Washington. It's always good to have you on the program. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mike.
Bernie Sanders crushed Hillary Clinton in New Hampshire, but in Thursday's debate in Milwaukee, Clinton pushed back against her Democratic opponent. Next, a closer look at one of the big challenges facing the Clinton campaign. Why is it struggling to connect with young voters, especially young women? I'll be asking Democratic Senator and Clinton supporter Tammy Baldwin. That's when Up Front continues.
Up Front with Mike Goucher, brought to you by the American Transmission Company and the Wisconsin Corn Growers Association.